Sarah Jenkins liked simple things in life. She never cared for fancy clothes or shiny jewelry. Even though her husband Michael was very rich, she still drove an old car that was now 10 years old. Sarah didn't think it mattered what car she drove or what clothes she wore. What mattered was being kind and good to others. One rainy Tuesday morning, Sarah was driving to meet her friend for lunch. Her old blue car made a loud noise and then stopped working in the middle of the road. Smoke came out from under the hood. Sarah sighed and pulled over to the side. She called for a tow truck to help her. "Your car is too old, Mom," said the tow truck driver as he loaded her car onto his truck. "You need a new one." Sarah nodded. "I think you're right. Can you take me to a car dealership nearby?" The driver took Sarah to Luxury Motors, the biggest car dealership in town. It was known for selling the most expensive cars. As the tow truck drove away, Sarah stood in the light rain looking at the shiny cars through the big glass windows. She pulled her old sweater tighter around her body and walked inside. The dealership was bright and clean. Men in nice suits walked around showing cars to well-dressed people. Soft music played in the background. It smelled like new leather and coffee. Sarah's old jeans were a bit wet from the rain. Her hair was in a simple ponytail, and she wore no makeup. She carried a plain cloth bag instead of an expensive purse. No one would guess that she was married to Michael Jenkins, the owner of Jenkins Enterprises worth billions of dollars. A young woman at the front desk looked up as Sarah approached. Her smile quickly changed to a look of doubt when she saw Sarah's simple clothes. "Can I help you?" she asked in a cold voice. "Yes, please," Sarah said with a kind smile. "My car broke down today. I'd like to look at your new models." The woman at the desk looked Sarah up and down again. "Our cars start at $80,000. The ones in the main showroom are over $100,000. She said this slowly, as if she thought Sarah couldn't afford even a tire from these cars. "That's fine," Sarah said. "I'd like to see what you have." The receptionist made a face and picked up her phone. "Derek, can you come to the front desk?" She put down the phone and pointed to a waiting area. "You can sit there." Sarah sat down and picked up a magazine about cars. She could feel people looking at her. A couple nearby moved to seats farther away, as if being poor was something they could catch. Sarah was used to this. It happened often when people didn't know who she was. She never corrected them because she believed people should be kind to everyone, not just to rich people. A tall man with slick hair walked up to her. He wore an expensive suit and a name tag that said Derek Sanders, sales manager. "Ma'am," he said without offering to shake hands, "I understand you want to see our cars." "Yes." Sarah stood up with a smile. "I need a new car. My old one broke down today." Derek looked at her worn shoes and simple clothes. "What's your budget exactly?" "I don't really have a set budget," Sarah explained. "I'd just like to see what options." Derek cut her off with a laugh. "Listen, I think there's been a mistake. These aren't regular cars. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at Budget Auto down the street. They have used cars that might fit your situation better." People nearby started to stare. A few salesmen snickered behind their hands. Sarah's cheeks turned red, but she kept her voice calm. "I'd like to see your cars, please. I can afford them." Derek crossed his arms. "Ma'am, we deal with serious buyers here. We don't want to waste your time or ours." Sarah tried once more. "I am a serious buyer. I'd like to purchase a car today." "Right," Derek said with a smirk. He motioned to the security guard by the door. "Frank, please show this lady out. And ma'am," he added loudly so everyone could hear, "don't come back unless you're actually able to buy something." Sarah stood outside the car dealership in the light rain. Her cheeks burned with shame. The security guard named Frank looked a bit sorry as he held the door for her. "Maybe try the place down the street, ma'am," he said in a low voice. "Those guys in there can be real jerks sometimes." Sarah gave him a small smile and nodded. She opened her small umbrella and began to walk down the street. She could have called a taxi or her driver, but she needed time to think. She wasn't angry about what happened. She felt sad that people judged others so quickly based on looks. After walking for 20 minutes, Sarah found a small coffee shop. She went inside and ordered a hot cup of tea. As she sat by the window watching the rain, she called her friend Lucy to explain why she had missed their lunch. They did what? Lucy almost shouted through the phone. Do they have any idea who you are? You should call Michael right now. Sarah laughed softly. It doesn't matter who I am, Lucy. No one should be treated that way, rich or poor. Anyway, it's not important. Not important. Sarah, they kick you out. Your husband owns half the city, and that's exactly why I won't tell him. Sarah said firmly, I don't want special treatment just because of who I married. After finishing her tea, Sarah called their family driver, Thomas, who picked her up in a simple black car. Thomas had worked for the Jenkins family for 8 years and knew about Sarah's wishes to blend in. Straight home, Mrs. Jenkins? He asked. Yes, please, Thomas. And remember. I know, Thomas smiled in the mirror. No fancy cars, no special treatment. Just like always. At home, Sarah changed into dry clothes and made herself busy in the kitchen. Their house was big, but not as huge as Michael could afford. Sarah had insisted on a home that felt warm and lived in, rather than a cold mansion. She started to prepare Michael's favorite dinner. Cooking always calmed her mind. Around 6 in the evening, she heard the front door open. Sarah, I'm home, Michael called out. Michael Jenkins walked into the kitchen with a big smile. He was tall with kind eyes and a few gray hairs at his temples. Despite being one of the richest men in the country, at home he was just Sarah's loving husband. Something smells amazing, he said, kissing her cheek. How was your day? Did you meet Lucy for lunch? Sarah stirred the pasta sauce. Actually, no. My car broke down on the way. Michael frowned and sat at the kitchen island. The old blue one. I've been telling you to get a new car for years. I know. I like that car, Sarah said with a shrug. Anyway, I got towed to a dealership, but I didn't end up buying anything. Which dealership? Michael asked, loosening his tie. Sarah hesitated. She didn't want to make a big deal about what happened. Luxury Motors on Oak Street. That's strange, Michael said, taking off his suit jacket. They're one of the biggest dealers in the region. They didn't have anything you liked. Sarah busied herself with setting the table. It wasn't that. They weren't very helpful. Michael stopped and looked at her closely. What happened, Sarah? Sarah sighed. She never could hide things from Michael. He knew her too well. It's silly, really. They thought I couldn't afford their cars because of how I looked. The sales manager, Derek I think his name was, asked me to leave. Michael's face changed. His kind smile disappeared. They kick you out. Don't make it a big deal, Michael, Sarah said quickly. It happens. Not everyone can tell I'm married to you just by looking at me, and I don't want them to. Michael was quiet for a moment. Then he asked in a calm voice, Did you tell them your name? No, Sarah admitted. I didn't get the chance. The manager called security before I could explain anything. Michael nodded slowly. Sarah knew that look. It was the same look he had when someone tried to cheat his company, or when a business partner broke their word. It was the look that had made Michael Jenkins a billionaire. It was the look that meant someone was about to learn a very expensive lesson. Michael, Sarah said carefully, please don't do anything. It's not worth it. Michael took her hand and kissed it gently. I won't embarrass you, I promise. But no one treats my wife that way. No one. That night after dinner, Michael went to his home office. He closed the door, something he rarely did. Sarah knew he was upset about what happened at the car dealership. She cleaned up the kitchen and tried not to worry. Michael was always fair, but he was also very protective of her. Inside his office, Michael made several phone calls. First, he called his lawyer, James Wilson. James, I need information on luxury motors on Oak Street. I want to know who owns it, how long their dealer contract lasts, and if they've had complaints before. Next, he called the head of his business department, Linda Chen. Linda, remember that car company we were thinking of buying? Elite Motors. Move forward with that purchase. I want the papers ready by tomorrow morning. Elite Motors was the company that made the luxury cars sold at many dealerships, including Luxury Motors. Michael had been thinking about buying it for months as a good business move. Now he had a personal reason too. After his calls, Michael looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. He opened his laptop and searched for Luxury Motors Oak Street. The website showed pictures of shiny cars and happy customers. At the bottom of the page was a photo of the staff. Michael looked carefully at each face until he found one with the name Derek Sanders, sales manager, underneath. Found you, Michael said to himself. The next morning, Sarah woke up to find Michael already dressed in his best suit. This was his business battle suit, as she called it. He only wore it for important meetings. "You're up early," she said, sitting up in bed. "Big day today," Michael answered with a smile. "I have a meeting about buying Elite Motors, that car company I told you about." Sarah nodded. "I remember. But why the serious suit?" "First impressions matter," Michael said. Then he added, "I might stop by Luxury Motors afterward. I think they deserve a second chance to help you find a car." Sarah's eyes widened. "Michael, please don't make a scene. I told you it's not important." Michael sat on the edge of the bed and took her hand. "It is important, Sarah, not because you're my wife, but because no one should be treated that way. What if they do the same thing to someone else? Someone who doesn't have our resources?" Sarah thought about this. "You're right, but promise me you won't be too harsh." "I promise to be fair," Michael said carefully. After breakfast, Michael's driver took him to the Elite Motors headquarters. The meeting was short. Michael's company offered a good price, and the papers were already prepared. By noon, Jenkins Enterprises owned Elite Motors, one of the biggest luxury car makers in the country. Michael's assistant, Robert, looked at him with surprise when he saw how quickly the deal was done. "That was fast, sir. Usually these things take weeks." "When something is important, Robert, you make it happen," Michael said. "Now, I need you to find out everything about Luxury Motors' dealer agreement with Elite, and call Sarah. Ask her to meet me at Luxury Motors at 2 o'clock. Tell her to dress however she wants." Robert nodded, knowing better than to ask questions. At 1:30, Michael arrived at Luxury Motors with 5 black cars behind him. From each car stepped men and women in business suits carrying folders and laptops. They looked serious and important. The last car brought a man who looked like a lawyer, carrying a thick file of papers. Inside the dealership, everything was as busy as usual. Salespeople showed cars to customers. The receptionist smiled at everyone who looked rich enough to buy a luxury car. Michael straightened his tie and looked at his watch. In 30 minutes, Sarah would arrive, dressed in her usual simple clothes. And this time, Michael would make sure she was treated with respect. "Let's go," he said to his team. They walked into the dealership like an army entering battle. The receptionist's smile froze when she saw so many serious-looking people enter at once. She had no idea that her whole workplace was about to change forever. The receptionist at Luxury Motors looked up with wide eyes as Michael and his team walked in. She had never seen so many serious people in suits enter the dealership at once. "Can I help you?" she asked, trying to sound calm. "I'm here to see the owner," Michael said. His voice was polite but firm. "Mr. Peterson, do you have an appointment?" "No," Michael said, "but he'll want to see me. Tell him Michael Jenkins is here." The receptionist's hand shook a little as she picked up the phone. Everyone in the business world knew the name Michael Jenkins. His picture was often in business magazines and newspapers. "Mr. Peterson, there's a Mr. Michael Jenkins here to see you." "Yes, that Michael Jenkins." She listened for a moment. "Yes, sir. Right away." She put down the phone. Mr. Peterson will be right out. Can I offer you some coffee or water? Michael shook his head. Where is Derek Sanders? The receptionist looked confused. Derek, he's with a customer. Would you like me to get him? No need, Michael said. I'll wait. Just then, a short, balding man rushed out from the back office. This was Mr. Peterson, the owner of Luxury Motors. His face was red, and he was straightening his tie as he hurried over. Mr. Jenkins, what an honor. Mr. Peterson held out his hand. I had no idea you were coming today. How can I help you? Michael shook his hand. Mr. Peterson, I'd like to talk to you about your dealership. Mr. Peterson looked nervous but tried to smile. Of course. Let's go to my office. No, Michael said. Here is fine. I want everyone to hear this. The salespeople had started to notice that something important was happening. They stopped talking to their customers and watched. The whole dealership became quiet. Michael nodded to one of his team members, who handed him a folder. Mr. Peterson, my company just bought Elite Motors this morning. Mr. Peterson's smile disappeared. Elite Motors made all the cars his dealership sold. This was big news. Congratulations, Mr. Peterson said in a weak voice. That's wonderful. As the new owner, Michael continued, I'm reviewing all dealer agreements. I see yours ends next month. Yes, but we've been a top seller for 10 years, Mr. Peterson said quickly. I'm sure we'll sign a new agreement. We always do. Michael opened the folder. Your sales numbers are good, but I care about more than numbers. I care about how people are treated in your dealership. Mr. Peterson looked confused. We treat our customers very well, Mr. Jenkins. All of them. Michael asked, even those who don't look rich. Before Mr. Peterson could answer, the front door opened. Sarah walked in wearing simple jeans and a plain sweater, just like yesterday. Her hair was in a ponytail, and she carried her cloth bag. The receptionist immediately recognized her and looked terrified. Ah, perfect timing, Michael said. He walked over to Sarah and took her hand. Mr. Peterson, this is my wife, Sarah Jenkins. Mr. Peterson's face went white. Your wife? Yes, Michael said. Yesterday, she came here to buy a car. Can you guess what happened? Mr. Peterson turned to the receptionist, who was now looking at her desk, too afraid to speak. I don't know, Mr. Peterson said. I wasn't here yesterday. Let me tell you, Michael said. She was judged by how she looked. She was told she couldn't afford your cars. And then your sales manager, Derek Sanders, had her escorted out by security. The whole dealership was silent. Some of the salespeople who had laughed at Sarah yesterday now looked scared. That's terrible, Mr. Peterson said. I had no idea. We don't train our staff to behave that way. And yet it happened, Michael said. He looked around the room. Where is Mr. Sanders now? As if on cue, Derek walked out from the back of the showroom. He was smiling and talking to a customer about a car. When he saw the crowd gathered at the front desk, he stopped. When he saw Sarah, his smile disappeared. Mr. Sanders, Michael called out, please join us. We were just talking about you. Derek walked slowly toward them. He looked at Sarah, then at Michael, then at his boss. He knew something very bad was about to happen. Derek Sanders walked slowly toward the group. His confident smile was gone. He looked at Sarah, then at Michael, then at his boss. His face turned pale when he started to understand what was happening. Mr. Sanders, Michael said in a calm voice, do you recognize my wife? Derek swallowed hard. Sir, there seems to be some misunderstanding. It's a simple question. Michael cut him off. Do you recognize Sarah? Derek looked at Sarah again. She stood quietly beside her husband. She wasn't smiling, but she didn't look angry either. Yes, Derek finally said. She came in yesterday. And what happened? Michael asked. Derek looked at Mr. Peterson for help, but his boss just stared at him with angry eyes. Well, sir, she was interested in our cars. But what? Michael pressed. But she didn't seem like she could afford them, Derek finished. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Every salesperson, every customer, even the cleaning staff had stopped to watch. And how did you determine that? Michael asked. Did you check her credit? Ask about her income? Or did you just look at her clothes and make a decision? Derek had no good answer. I was trying to save everyone's time, sir. Michael nodded slowly. I see. So you thought my wife, Sarah Jenkins, couldn't afford a car from your dealership. I didn't know she was your wife, Derek said quickly. Would it have mattered? Michael asked. Should people be treated differently based on who they're married to, or how much money they have, or what clothes they wear? Derek looked down at his shoes. No, sir. Michael turned to Mr. Peterson. Yesterday, my wife came here to buy 10 cars, 5 for our company executives and 5 for our charity that helps single mothers find jobs. Mr. Peterson's mouth fell open. 10 cars. Yes, Michael said. That would have been your biggest sale of the month, maybe the year. But instead of treating her with respect, your staff judged her by her appearance. Sarah touched Michael's arm gently. She didn't want to embarrass anyone too much. Michael nodded at her, understanding. Mr. Peterson, Michael continued, I was planning to make Luxury Motors our regional flagship store. That would have meant an exclusive inventory and a marketing budget of $15 million. Mr. Peterson looked like he might faint. Was planning. Past tense. Yes, Michael said. I'm reconsidering now. A flagship store needs to represent our company values. And our most important value is respect for all people, regardless of appearance or wealth. One of Michael's team members stepped forward and handed him another folder. This is our new dealer agreement, Michael explained. Starting today, all Elite Motors dealerships will be evaluated on customer satisfaction first, sales numbers second. We will send mystery shoppers, people dressed in all kinds of clothes, to test how your staff treats everyone. Mr. Peterson took the folder with shaking hands. We will sign it right away, Mr. Jenkins, and I promise you, this kind of thing will never happen again. Michael nodded. I hope not. As for Mr. Sanders, he looked at Derek, who was now sweating. Please, Mr. Jenkins, Derek said. I have a family. I need this job. Sarah, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Everyone deserves a second chance, Michael. Michael looked at his wife with admiration. Even after being humiliated, she still showed kindness. You're right, as always, Michael said. Then he turned to Mr. Peterson. The decision about Mr. Sanders is yours. But remember, how you handle this situation will show me what kind of business partner you really are. Mr. Peterson straightened his back. I understand, sir. Another member of Michael's team whispered something in his ear. Michael checked his watch. Mr. Peterson, I'll need your office for a few minutes. I have a video call with the other Elite Motors dealers. I want to tell them about our new customer service policy in person. Of course, Mr. Peterson said, leading the way. Right this way. As Michael and his team followed Mr. Peterson, the dealership burst into whispers. Everyone was looking at Sarah, who stood alone now near the front desk. The same people who had laughed at her yesterday now looked at her with fear and respect. Derek approached her slowly. Mrs. Jenkins, I am truly sorry for how I treated you. Sarah looked at him with kind eyes. Don't apologize to me because I'm Michael's wife. Apologize because it was wrong to treat anyone that way. Derek nodded, finally understanding the lesson. While Michael was in Mr. Peterson's office, Sarah walked around the dealership looking at cars. The salespeople watched her nervously. No one approached her at first. Then a young saleswoman named Tina gathered her courage and walked up to Sarah. Mrs. Jenkins, I'm Tina. I started working here just last week. Would you like me to show you any of our cars? Sarah smiled. Yes, please. I really do need a new car. Tina showed Sarah several cars. She was polite and helpful, not pushy or fake. Sarah liked her right away. I'm sorry about what happened yesterday, Tina said quietly as they looked at a silver car. Not everyone here is like Derek. I believe you, Sarah said. It's important not to judge all people by the actions of one person. In Mr. Peterson's office, Michael was on a video call with the managers of all 20 Elite Motors dealerships in the region. They looked surprised and worried. Let me be clear, Michael told them. What happened at Luxury Motors could have happened at any of your dealerships. From today, how you treat customers is more important than how many cars you sell. One manager raised his hand. Mr. Jenkins, how will you measure customer service? Good question, Michael said. We will send people of all types to your dealerships. Rich, poor, young, old, all races, all styles of dress. They will report back on how they were treated. Those reports will affect your bonuses and your contracts. The managers nodded. Some looked nervous. Others looked determined to do better. After the call ended, Michael's lawyer handed Mr. Peterson papers to sign. The new agreement gave Luxury Motors one more chance, but with strict rules. Sign here to keep your dealership, the lawyer said. Mr. Peterson signed quickly. Mr. Jenkins, I promise we will make this right. I hope so, Michael said, for your sake. Meanwhile, at the front desk, a delivery man arrived carrying a large box. Special delivery for Luxury Motors, he said. Boss said to put it right here in the lobby. The receptionist looked confused but nodded. The delivery man set up what was inside the box. It was a large, beautiful sign. It read, Every customer deserves respect. Your boss paid for this, the receptionist asked. Yes, ma'am, the delivery man said. Said it's to be placed where everyone can see it, customers and staff. When Michael came out of the office, he saw Sarah talking with Tina near a blue car. Found something you like? He asked Sarah. Maybe, Sarah said. Tina has been very helpful. Michael looked at Tina with approval. Thank you for treating my wife with respect. Tina smiled nervously. Of course, Mr. Jenkins. It's just the right way to treat any customer. Exactly, Michael said. Mr. Peterson hurried over. Mr. Jenkins, about yesterday's incident. I've made a decision about Derek. Michael raised an eyebrow. And I've moved him from sales manager to our training department, Mr. Peterson explained. His job will be to teach our staff how not to judge customers by their appearance. He'll share his mistake with every new employee. Michael looked surprised. This was a clever solution. That's actually a good idea, he admitted. Sometimes the best teacher is someone who made the mistake themselves. Sarah nodded. I agree. It's better than firing him. Mr. Peterson looked relieved. We've also decided to donate 5% of our profits this month to a charity of your choice, Mrs. Jenkins. The Women's Career Center downtown, Sarah said without hesitation. They help women get back on their feet and find jobs. Consider it done, Mr. Peterson said. As they were talking, people started gathering outside the dealership. There were news vans and reporters with cameras. What's happening? Sarah asked. Michael looked surprised. I didn't call the press. One of Michael's team members approached him. Sir, someone posted about what happened on social media. It's gone viral. Billionaire buys car company to teach dealership a lesson after they kick out his wife. The story is everywhere. Sarah's eyes widened. Oh no. I didn't want this much attention. Michael took her hand. I'm sorry. I didn't expect this either. Mr. Peterson looked out at the growing crowd. This could be very bad for our reputation. Or, Michael said thoughtfully, it could be an opportunity to show how quickly you learned from your mistake. Mr. Peterson looked nervous as more reporters gathered outside the dealership. What should we do? He asked Michael. Michael thought for a moment. He turned to Sarah. It's your call. This all started because of how they treated you. Sarah took a deep breath. She was a private person who didn't like being in the spotlight, but she understood that this moment could help change how businesses treat people. "Let's talk to them," she said. "But I want Derek to be there too." Michael raised his eyebrows. "Are you sure?" "Yes," Sarah said. "People need to see that mistakes can be fixed, and everyone deserves a second chance." Mr. Peterson quickly called Derek over. "Mrs. Jenkins wants you to join us for a press statement." Derek looked terrified. "Me? But I'm the bad guy in this story." "No," Sarah said kindly. "You're the person who made a mistake and is now helping others learn from it." Outside, Mr. Peterson opened the doors and invited the reporters in. They crowded into the showroom, pointing cameras and microphones at Sarah and Michael. "Thank you all for coming," Michael began. "Yesterday, my wife Sarah came to this dealership to buy cars. Because of how she was dressed, she was treated poorly and asked to leave." The reporters started shouting questions, but Michael held up his hand. "Please let me finish. Today, as the new owner of Elite Motors, the company that makes these cars, I came here to address this problem." Sarah stepped forward. "I want to make something clear. This isn't just about me. This is about how we all judge people based on how they look. It happens every day to many people." A reporter called out, "Mrs. Jenkins, did you plan this to teach them a lesson?" Sarah shook her head. "No, I never expected this to happen. I just wanted to buy a car." Another reporter asked, "Mr. Jenkins, did you buy Elite Motors just to get revenge on this dealership?" Michael smiled. "I was already planning to buy the company. But yesterday's events showed me how important it is to focus on customer service and respect." Mr. Peterson stepped up. "As the owner of Luxury Motors, I want to say we were wrong. We're making big changes, starting today." He pointed to the new sign in the lobby. "Every customer deserves respect. That's our new motto." Derek stepped forward nervously. Everyone went quiet. "I'm Derek Sanders. I'm the one who asked Mrs. Jenkins to leave yesterday." His voice shook a little. "I made a terrible mistake. I judged someone based on their clothes, not their character." The cameras flashed as he continued. "I've been moved to our training department. My new job is to teach our staff not to make the same mistake I did. I'm grateful for this second chance." A reporter asked, "Mrs. Jenkins, why aren't you angry? Why give him a second chance?" Sarah smiled. "Being angry doesn't help anyone. What matters is that we learn and grow. Derek made a mistake, but now he's helping make sure it doesn't happen again." Michael added, "We're working with Luxury Motors to create a new training program for all Elite Motors dealerships. This program will teach staff to treat everyone with the same respect, no matter what they wear or how they look." Tina, the young saleswoman, stepped forward. "Excuse me, can I say something?" Michael nodded. "I'm new here," Tina said to the reporters. "But today I've learned the most important lesson in customer service. Never judge a book by its cover. Mrs. Jenkins was so kind to me, even after what happened. That's the kind of person I want to be." The crowd murmured with approval. This was turning into a positive story about change and second chances, not just about a rich man getting revenge. A woman raised her hand. "I'm from Channel 8 News. Would you be willing to share this training program with other businesses? This problem exists everywhere." Michael looked at Sarah, who nodded. "Yes," Michael said. "We'll make the program available to any business that wants it, free of charge." The reporters loved this. The story was getting better by the minute. A mistake that turned into a movement. A simple moment of disrespect that might change how businesses treat customers everywhere. As cameras flashed, Sarah whispered to Michael, "This is bigger than us now." Michael squeezed her hand. "That's because of you. Your kindness is what's making this work." The next few days were busy for Sarah and Michael. The story about Luxury Motors spread quickly on TV, in newspapers, and online. Many people shared their own stories about being judged by their appearance in stores. Some business owners called to ask about the new training program Michael had promised. One week after the press conference, Michael sat in his home office looking at his computer. Sarah brought him a cup of coffee. "Look at this," Michael said, pointing to his screen. "Over 500 businesses have signed up for our Respect training program." Sarah smiled. "That's wonderful. I never thought our little problem would help so many people." "Your little problem," Michael corrected her with a smile. "And your kind response is what made this special." Sarah looked out the window. "Have you seen today's numbers from Luxury Motors?" "Yes." Michael nodded. "Their sales are up 40% this week. It seems people like businesses that admit their mistakes and try to do better." The phone rang. It was Mr. Peterson from Luxury Motors. "Mr. Jenkins, I wanted to update you on our progress," he said when Michael answered. "Derek has created an excellent training program. Every employee has completed it, and we've already seen changes in how our staff treats customers." "That's good to hear," Michael said. "And there's something else," Mr. Peterson continued. "We've hired 5 women from the Women's Career Center that Mrs. Jenkins recommended. They started this week in our customer service department." Michael looked at Sarah and gave her a thumbs up. "That's excellent news, Mr. Peterson. I'm impressed with how seriously you're taking this." After the call, Sarah showed Michael her phone. "Look at this email from Lucy." Lucy was Sarah's friend who had been so angry about how Sarah was treated at the dealership. The email showed a news story about another car dealership across town. They had put up the same sign. "Every customer deserves respect." "It's spreading," Michael said. "Other businesses are following Luxury Motors' example." That afternoon, Sarah and Michael visited the Women's Career Center downtown. They had been supporting this charity for years, but today was special. The center's director, Maria, greeted them at the door. "Sarah, Michael, we're so glad you're here. The women are excited to thank you." Inside, a group of women were waiting to meet them. Some of them were the new employees at Luxury Motors. They clapped when Sarah and Michael entered the room. A woman named Donna stepped forward. "Mrs. Jenkins, I want to thank you. Last year, I was homeless. This center helped me get back on my feet. Now, thanks to you, I have a good job at Luxury Motors." Sarah hugged her. "I'm so happy for you, Donna." Another woman spoke up. "The best part is how they treat us there. With respect. No one looks down on us because of our past or where we come from." Michael smiled. "That's exactly how it should be." Maria showed them a new computer room with 20 new computers. "This is all thanks to the donation from Luxury Motors. Now we can train more women for office jobs." As they were leaving, a reporter was waiting outside. She had been covering the story since the beginning. "Mrs. Jenkins, Mr. Jenkins, can I ask you a few questions?" the reporter called. Sarah normally avoided reporters, but today she stopped. "Yes, what would you like to know?" "Your story has inspired a new movement in customer service," the reporter said. "Some people are calling it the Sarah effect. How does that make you feel?" Sarah laughed softly. "The Sarah effect? That's silly. I didn't do anything special. I just wanted to be treated like everyone else." "But that's exactly what makes it special," the reporter said. "You could have used your husband's name and power from the beginning, but you didn't. You wanted to be treated well because you are a person, not because you're rich." Michael put his arm around Sarah's shoulders. "That's who Sarah has always been. It's why I fell in love with her." The reporter looked at her notes. "One more question. I've heard that several other companies owned by Jenkins Enterprises are now implementing similar respect training. Is this going to be a requirement for all your business partners?" Michael looked at Sarah. This was a question they had discussed just last night. "Yes," Michael said firmly. "Any business that wants to work with us must commit to treating all customers with respect, regardless of how they look or dress." "It's not just good ethics," Sarah added. "It's also good business." 1 month after the incident at Luxury Motors, Sarah finally decided it was time to buy a new car. Her old blue car had been fixed temporarily, but it wouldn't last much longer. "I think I'll go back to luxury motors today," she told Michael over breakfast. Michael looked surprised. "Are you sure? You could go to any dealership now." "I want to see if they've really changed," Sarah explained. "And if they have, they deserve a second chance, just like Derek." Sarah drove her old car to luxury motors. This time, she dressed the same way she always did. Simple jeans, a comfortable sweater, and no fancy jewelry. She wanted to be treated with respect for who she was, not what she wore or who she was married to. When she walked into the dealership, she noticed many changes. The Ivory Customer DZRV's Reese SPKT sign was still in the lobby. There were new faces among the staff, including some of the women from the Career Center. And instead of the cold greeting she got last time, a friendly woman at the front desk smiled at her. "Good morning. Welcome to Luxury Motors. How can we help you today?" The woman didn't seem to recognize Sarah, which was exactly what Sarah wanted. "I'm looking for a new car," Sarah said simply. "Wonderful. Would you like me to find a sales associate to help you?" Before Sarah could answer, Tina, the kind saleswoman from her last visit, walked by. She recognized Sarah immediately. "Mrs. Jenkins, it's so good to see you again." The receptionist's eyes widened when she heard the name. "Hello, Tina," Sarah said with a smile. "I'd like you to help me find a car today." "I'd be honored," Tina said. "What kind of car are you looking for?" "Something reliable and not too flashy," Sarah said. "But I also need to buy another car for the Women's Career Center. They need a van to help transport women to job interviews." Tina nodded. "We have several good options. Let me show you." As they walked through the showroom, Sarah noticed Derek in a small conference room. He was teaching a group of new employees. Through the glass, she could see him pointing to pictures and speaking with energy. The new staff seemed interested in what he was saying. "How is Derek doing in his new role?" Sarah asked Tina. "Surprisingly well," Tina said. "He's really good at teaching. He tells his own story, and it makes a big impression on new staff. No one wants to make the same mistake he did." After looking at several cars, Sarah chose a simple blue sedan for herself and a large van for the Career Center. As she was signing the papers, Mr. Peterson came out to greet her. "Mrs. Jenkins, it's wonderful to see you again. I hope everything has been satisfactory today." "Very much so," Sarah said. "I've been treated with perfect respect, not because I'm Michael's wife, but because that's how you treat all customers now." Mr. Peterson nodded. "We've learned our lesson. Our customer satisfaction scores are the highest they've ever been, and our sales have increased too." After signing the final papers, Sarah was handed the keys to her new car. As she was about to leave, she saw Derek coming out of his training session. "Mrs. Jenkins," he said, walking over to her, "I heard you were here. I just wanted to thank you again." "For what?" Sarah asked. "For giving me a second chance," Derek said. "Many people wouldn't have done that. I was wrong about you in every way possible." Sarah smiled. "We all make mistakes, Derek. What matters is how we learn from them." As Sarah drove home in her new car, she thought about everything that had happened because of one bad day at a car dealership. A training program that was now helping hundreds of businesses, new jobs for women who needed them, and a movement that was changing how businesses treated people. That evening, when Michael came home, he found Sarah in the kitchen cooking dinner. "How did it go at the dealership?" he asked, kissing her cheek. "Perfectly," Sarah said. "They've really changed." Michael looked out the window at her new car. "It's blue, just like your old one." Sarah smiled. "Some things don't need to change." Michael hugged his wife. "And some things change everything. Like you. You changed how an entire business thinks just by being yourself." Sarah shook her head. "No, we did it together. Your power and my kindness. That's why it worked." "A perfect team," Michael agreed. And as they sat down to their simple dinner in their not-too-large house, They knew they had made the world a little better, in their own small way.